Zappity zap zap. Yep. You are no longer the only electricity-themed child of Meowry, T-Bird. Anyways, welcome one and all. Good evening, good afternoon, fine people of the internet. It's evening in certain other places of the world, but right where I am, it's the afternoon. Either way, hello, welcome. Pleasure to see y'all. So I'm gonna be living with y'all. I'm pretty excited for this one. Finally getting to just relax and talk about some things. Just a nice little relaxed Zatsu. Which took a little more preparation than these usually do, but I'm a man who needs structure. If I'm going to just bullshit for give or take 2 hours, I need to know what to actually talk about. I'm not exactly a master at carrying conversations, but doesn't matter. But before I get into the proper subject, I'm sure you've all noticed something new. Something new. Something behind me. Alright, enough bullshitting. Yep. New layout, new stinger transition, which I got for free. They're just freely available assets anybody could use, but I like them. I think they fit me just perfectly fine and dandy. It's gonna be a real, nice and tasty. Fit me just well. Royal, badass, son of a bitch. I think they are fine. And I look forward to using them for many months to come. I think they will, I sort of needed to upgrade my brand a bit, as you've noticed, so that's a score on that. But that's enough about me until the very end of the stream. You stick around until the very end, you will see something real special. Something that you're technically not supposed to see yet, that I'm not going to share until a couple of days from now. So look forward to that if you please. But until then, enough about me. Let's discuss 4 VTuber ladies. 4 important pillars of the English-speaking indie scene, if you ask me. 4 extremely talented women, hiding behind extremely cute anime avatars. People who have brought joy to me and many other people over the year they've been doing this collectively. Yep. The clique of VTubers that for some reason are now commonly known as the Gorls. Nobody knows where those names come from, but it fits well enough and nobody can come up with anything better. Least of all them, so we just call them the Gorls. We'll call them that for the sake of simplicity. Fuck it. I can't come up with anything better, they can't come up with anything better, so we'll stick to that. For those of you who do not know who I'm talking about, the 4 VTubers in question are Tanya is here. Let's do this a smart way. So, first up, please be the correct name. Yep, that's the one. Tanya is here. Fox Girl. Fox Gamer. Crazy Endurance. If you don't know her, then you will. So, Tanya. Next up. Whoops, wrong command. Let me fix that. Only one. She does excite me, but yes. Nectarine, who is live right now, and that was a bit of a painful irony. But this time, it's actually no skin off my nose between you and me. So, she has a bit of a reputation about horror games, but we'll get to that when we get to that. And then, next up, Nina, who is also currently live. Although her, I knew I was going to overlap with, and no skin off my nose. She's famous. What I do is not relevant to her, so it's fine, it's whatever. But then, last up, I completely forget what her Twitch name is. Oh, never mind, I guessed right. Lucky me. So, last up, Koopa Fortuna. So, these are all very wonderful streamers. Almost all of them I can actually call friends of mine. And I'm definitely fans of them, as you're no doubt aware already, and if you aren't, you will be well informed by the end of this stream. So, those are the four VTubers I'll be talking about, but more importantly, I'll be talking about the songs I wrote for all four of them. Yes, all four of them. One of whom actually got two of them. But again, we will get to that when we get to that. So to properly talk about the four of them, and, well, actually, before I get to that, I should probably talk about the format a bit. So the format is, I'm going to switch between, I talk about the girl, I talk about the song I wrote for her, with a couple of, little sidetracks here and there. So, before we start properly talking about the girls, I first need to discuss, need to wind the clock all the way back to the summer of 2020. And I just realized I haven't had background music on this whole time, so, silly me. Let's just go ahead and start that over again. There we go. News auto music, by the way. You'll have to tell me how it, I think it's personally more fitting, but you'll tell me if you, liked the old one better. Anyways, so, summer 2020. Like most other people, I had spent the first quarter of the year heavily getting into Hololive. At the time, they were effectively really taking off. They were unquestionably the biggest fish in the English VTuber fandom. Still are to an extent. And they were going really well. Everything seemed like fucking rainbows and roses. Just everybody was fun to watch. Everybody was clearly having a good time. Just streaming. The viewers were having a good time viewing them. It was all just nice and rosy. But then, you'll have to excuse me if I get a bit vague here. Some controversies arose with them. And suddenly, the real world intruded on them, on the Hololive fandom. And, it was decidedly not rosy and pleasant. Rather the opposite. A lot of us got stressed out, some of us decided to weather out the storm. But then, there were people like me, who decided, you know what, maybe I should, expand my horizons, explore who else is, going on. What else is going on in the world of VTubing? Because again, I was a Hololive fan at this point, so I pretty much only watched Japanese-speaking VTubers. Which in a lot of ways, especially in the popular streaming format, really defeated the purpose of watching them. Because of course, if you do not speak Japanese, you're basically stuck, just sitting there, nodding your head, thinking, wow, she's cute. Or, wow, the gameplay actually looks pretty nice. Not actually understanding any of the random conversations I might be having, any of the random events, tangents. Sort of misses the point of watching a stream in a lot of ways. But me and a lot of other people enjoyed it that way. But again, things happened, and I decided to expand my horizons, and then, like most other VTuber fans of the time, I got most of my content through, God, I don't even want to admit this, but I must. It was a vital aspect of being a VTuber fan. Reddit. Yep. Reddit. Gotta live with you guys, I frankly find that to be an awful sight. I was never happy about the fact that that was basically my main haunt for content, but that was effectively where all the Hololive content was, so that was where I had to go. But they also had dedicated other virtual YouTubers subreddit, which is where many, many independent VTubers went. Of all types. But the main reason I went there, and the main reason it's relevant to this story, is because that was where I first discovered English-speaking VTubers for the first time. Although at this point it was mostly Japanese VTubers who happened to have English as a second language, trying to break into the English market for the first time, expand their viewership. But it wasn't until later where I discovered, until eventually other VTubers started posting there, this time native English speakers. People who had English as either their first language or one of their main languages. At minimum, it was their primary streaming language. And so, I discovered many VTubers that way. But since I'm eager to get off the topic of fucking Reddit, I hate that site, I don't like talking about it. So, finally, in the late summer, early fall of 2020, one particular VTuber advertised her debut stream. And that VTuber, as you may have guessed, was the one we now know as Kitanya. She went by a different name at the time, but she changed it. She doesn't like people calling her by her old name, even in hindsight, so Kitanya. So, I went into the stream, watched her, I was like, wow, she's charming. She's really nice. She's very energetic. So, I made it to 2 hours, and I was like, yeah, I think I'll lurk for a bit. I'm sure she must be getting ready to wrap up, so. But oh, how wrong I was. 24 hours. 26 hours. Somewhere along that line. She streamed for an entire day straight in the end. So naturally I had to keep just poking in and out, wondering, wow, she must be getting tired. But nope, every time. Just as energetic as hour 1. And I found myself thinking, Christ alive, what is this woman made of? And thus began possibly one of my most rewarding viewerships as a fan. She made me realize for the first time, like, wow. Actually understanding what a VTuber says really gives it really recontextualizes the experience, really makes you realize, huh, I've been missing a bunch just sitting in the stream, nodding along. I can actually understand this woman. This is a different world. I like it. It's strange. So, yes, we'll continue that story in a bit, but before I do, I need to emphasize just how important discovering her, watching her first stream, all of that, ended up being in the end. Because, were it not for me watching that first Kitanya stream, there is a very high possibility that I would not be standing in front of you right now, talking to you, discussing any of this. I would probably just still be an absolute nobody. As a matter of fact, it's arguable I would still be in this hobby at all. I probably would have moved on to God knows what, had I not watched that stream. Because again, being a Hololive fan was just stressing me out. I needed to just find something else to do, and so I did. I found an entire world of VTubers that I can actually understand, that I can actually watch and enjoy properly without having to rely on waiting for clips or having to keep an eye peeled for translators in the chat. It was a stunning experience. It was a new experience, one that I wouldn't trade for the world. So, I essentially became a Kitanya fan for, permanently. And I don't think there's a better way to, as a musician, there is really no better way to pay tribute to somebody than to write a song about them. And so I did. So, the first song we will discuss first requires me to actually go into a little more setup, silly me. So, fast forward to a little over a year later, October 2020. Late October 2020. Kitanya announced that after a few months hiatus, for what I can tell, for what any of us can gather, medical reasons, / a major rebrand, she announces that she was going to do a belated anniversary stream. Because again, late summer, early fall, she was completely out of commission. But eventually, she managed to come back and she announced, I'm coming back. I'm doing an anniversary stream. Don't know when yet, but I will. So shortly after that, a certain VTuber by the name of, well, now VTuber, at this point he was just a viewer, but who here knows Uzak on the Box? Uzak on the Box. Well, if you don't, I can probably fix that. Please be the correct name. Yes, it is. Uzak on the Box. This is, one of, Kitanya's long-term fans, and easily one of her most talented. So, this mad lad, this absolute king, decided to go the extra mile as far as showing his appreciation for Kitanya and bringing her back in an epic way. Thus, he made an entire game for her. This right here. Kitanya's Ordinary Adventure. Which is anything but ordinary, but if you want that, you'll have to play the game for yourself. So, this was the big project. So at the time, he didn't know me too well, but he did know that I was a fan of Kitanya and I made music, so he just, out of the blue, asked me, listen, I know you're a musician, so would you mind contributing music? I'm making this game for her, and I'd like you to contribute the music. I agreed, because I really didn't have much else going on at the time. And so, I wrote the song for her, and it was rather strange. Well, rather fun, I should say. Just a nice little jaunt. So, for those of you, I figured I should probably bring you up to speed, because I get the feeling not everybody who has watched the stream has heard my music. That would be rather vain of me to assume. So, I think let's go ahead and switch screens real quick first. Zappity zap zap, and here we are again, over here. Another new screen. Rather pimpin', isn't it? So, first let me turn this off. Allow me to... Yeah, of course you would. Again, there's a reason I've decided to rebrand using electricity, besides being into electric guitar, obviously, but I'll explain that another time. Today, we talk about Kitanya and friends. So, first song of Mazatsu. At the time, I actually didn't come up with a title for this because I couldn't think of anything, and it was like I didn't give me any ideas for a title. So, I will play the song for you that, at this juncture, at the time I'm talking about now, is untitled, or if you really insist on it having a title at this point, I just called it Kitanya's Ordinary Adventure background music. And it sounds a little something like this. And that's really all there is to speak of about that song. From here, it's a game song, obviously, so it loops. And it just repeats ad nauseum from here. So now we switch screens. And, well, he probably is, but he isn't me. Welcome to the stream, Extra Plays. My name is not Jesus, it is Cliff. As a matter of fact, I'm royal, but I'm not exactly a deity of any description, any particular description. Would be nice, but that's just not how I am. Anyways, so that was Gitanya's Ordinary Adventure background music, the first song of the day that I played. So now let's talk about the song a little more. I was going to actually open the projects all in my workstation. Actually, it's probably not too late for that. Why wouldn't I do that? That's dumb. Once I find the right folder. Because there's only so much talking I can do, I should probably give you a visual aid on top of that. There it is. There we go. That's the one. So, please give me a moment while I wait for the project to load. And I'm going to pray it doesn't crash my computer. It probably won't, but you never know. Technology can betray you at the most inconvenient of times. So, there we go. Alright. So, and switch screens again. There we go. Now this should be a little more familiar of a sight to you. This is my workstation. This is Reaper, and this is the original project for the song. I'm not going to play it again, obviously, because I just did, but as you can see, exceedingly simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A mere 6 tracks, because that was all I needed, / all I could do with the limitations I set for myself. This was a chiptune, video game, classic sort of vibe, so it only made sense for me to limit myself. So, the other thing is, every single track you see here, every instrument that you heard in the song was all the result of one single plugin. Not this one. This one. Koji. By It Might Get Loud Productions. Although, while we're on the subject of rebranding, this company is not known by that name anymore. They are now called Ugratone. And if you recognize that name, which you should if you've been to my streams before and have watched any of my crazy metal music streams, they are the gentlemen responsible for my main drum plugin, fittingly called Ugratone Drums. But, obviously, most plugin manufacturers, while a lot of them have their specialty, you can't really afford to be a one-trick pony. You need to have at least one offbeat sort of plugin, and in the case of Ugratone, this is their one, Koji. It's a chiptune, 16-bit sort of a plugin, based on a classic keyboard. And again, everything from the lead line, to the drums, to the chord staff that just go on through the entire song, was the result of Koji. Now, this isn't really a DAW stream, so I'm not going to walk it through it or anything, / I don't think there's a demand for that this time around, but this is a really interesting project, I think. It was a nice little challenge. However, there is one thing I want to talk about, the melody, which sounds a little like this on its own. Silly me. You will not be able to hear that unless I do this. That was my mistake. Send audio, local broadcast, there we go. And I just realized I did not have that set up. So, I need to switch screens again. Silly me. Real quick. Yep, full screen. Chat's gonna disappear for a second because I haven't properly set up the screen. That was a bit of a silly mistake, but we'll make the best of it. Anyways. So yeah, the melody sounds different from what you just heard in the song, because apparently this is from an older version of the song where I didn't switch instruments quite yet. As you can tell, this sort of annoyed me. I didn't care for it with this instrument, so in the final song I fixed it. But more importantly, you may be asking yourself, how did you come up with this melody? It sounds nice, fun, jaunty, fits her well. And there's a reason for that. Because I based it directly on her speech, in a sense. Well, one line was based on her speech. This first line. So, when you go to her channel for the first time and you follow her, she responds, her common response is, "Thank you for the follow, Growl." And yes, she does properly roll her R's. I can't, so I can't imitate her. Not that I could anyways, but that is her catchphrase. And that was the line that I had in mind when I wrote that melody. Thank you for the follow, Growl. Just like that. And the rest of it I just sort of, spread out from there. Just sort of, messed around with notes and figured out what stuck. What sounded catchy. See, people think music is complicated, but no. You just have to have a good idea, a nice solid foundation. Just think of who you're writing a song about. Just think of the themes, the general, what you want to accomplish, and it'll just come to you naturally. Couldn't be simpler. So, let's switch back to the chat screen. At any rate, there we go. So, last thing, if there's any music nerds in the chat, this will come up again later, but if you're wondering what the chord progression was, it was 1-5-1-6. 1-5-1-6. Nice, basic, just bouncing between random chords. It's also in the key of B major. I don't know if that's relevant to anybody, but I'm saying so anyways, because I think it's interesting, damn it. So, before we move on to the next song, let's talk about her reaction to the song. Well, her reaction to the game in general, but my song specifically will come in a bit. So, needless to say, she was absolutely blown away. Flattered that people would go out of their way for her like that. She was absolutely captivated. She loved it more than anything. She was just so happy. She had a lot of fun with the game. Like, it was just a brief little jaunt, just a little, quick little thing, but it was still absolutely precious to her. She loved it. She had a lot of fun playing it, and she had particular confidence for my music in specific. She called it a bop. She realized it was just fun. It added to the vibe. It fit her perfectly. She loved it. To the point that she actually directly told me how much she loved it, and actually to this day she still uses it as stream backing music. Just because she loved it that much, which flatters me quite a lot. That's essentially the biggest compliment she could have given me as far as actually giving me that song. So, yeah. As if she wasn't already precious enough to me, that really sealed the deal. That made me really glad that I started watching her, started on this path, and all that. Which brings me to the next subject of a song, the next person I wrote a song for. Yep. Nuckarine, who again is streaming right now, and it's sort of unfortunate that she decided to overlap me, and yes, it was her deciding to overlap me. My schedule was out first, but in any case, I can't be too bitter about that. So, Nuckarine. I would actually have never have met her had I not discovered Kitanya first. Watching her early streams, watching Kitanya's early streams, she was actually a mod for her at the time, / one of her regular viewers, chatters, all that sort of thing. she had a good reputation among us, because Kitanya's streams to this day have a bit of a thing about them. Kitanya's a very family-friendly, she goes out of her way to be a very family-friendly streamer in general. The game she chooses sort of contradict that, but that's whatever. I and her father, I don't get to choose what she plays. Although I guess that was mostly a result of her being mainly a Minecraft streamer. That was her big thing. Still is. She still plays a lot of that game on stream. And as a result, her viewership skews rather young, besides us adults who discovered her through other methods. We still enjoyed her, but she still very clearly had some young viewers who didn't know how to behave, and that's where Neko came in. She knew how to keep the children in line, and us adults appreciated that. We really liked it. We were fine with it. So imagine our surprise when she decides to announce she's going to start streaming. She's going to become transition to the more modern form of VTuber. Because before she decided to do this, Neko was a VTuber before. She did have a brand, have content, but in her case it was more classic style, pre-recorded Let's Play sort of content. Which was obviously nice, but that really doesn't get you much attention these days. These days when people think VTuber, they think somebody who streams, somebody who talks for hours upon hours at a time, interacts with the chat, all that shit. So of course she felt the need to transition to that. So, me and some viewers arrive at her first stream. And we get surprised. She's has a completely different vibe from Neko. I mean, from Kitanya. Neko was more mature, more approachable, I guess. Like, she was not quite as talkative. Like, these were early days. She was still pretty shy, but her main vibe was still rather obvious. It was very clear that she was her own person. Like, she even sounded similar to Kitanya at first, like an older Kitanya, but once she came into her own, she had a different vibe about her. But then again, even in these early days, she set herself apart immediately. She had a design that was self-made. I personally really liked it. But what really set me over the top was her lore. She has lore. She had actual proper lore. Kitanya really didn't bother with that. Pretty much all she was, like, at the time she was just a cat girl. South African cat girl. Just, nothing too crazy, just, pretty standard issue. As a matter of fact, she still doesn't really bother with lore all that much. She just, has characters, at least one character surrounding her, but Neko took a different approach altogether. She actually had an entire backstory, that she was genetically programmed in a lab, woke up mysteriously, has amnesia, didn't know much about her past life. But the absolute most important thing, the true most important thing about her, she was apparently under the control of a machine named Core. And she actually had an emote specifically for being possessed by Core, getting mad, getting angry, and it was red eyes. The moment she broke out those red eyes, it was over for me. I completely fucking... I don't want to say fell for her, that gives a wrong implication, but she basically became one of my favorite streamers right then and there. And again, this was still early days. She still hadn't come into her own, but the red eyes, that funky little detail about herself, that was enough to get me to realize, holy shit, this woman is cool as fuck. That's amazing. I need to watch her. I need to be a regular of hers. And it had its ups and downs. Like, again, she was really not very technically savvy, which is a lot of the reason she started with pre-recorded content. But she still had her own vibe, had her own. Like, it was still very obvious from the beginning that she had potential. And that potential really manifested itself a couple of months in, her Valentine's Day special, and her first proper karaoke stream. She fucking bowled all of her viewers over that day. Because, even early days, that lady can fucking sing. She could sing, like, she was obviously an amateur, still obviously rather shy, but she still sounded absolutely fantastic. Like, we loved her. Like, we all loved hearing her sing, and it was insane. And that's the reason none of her other regulars are here right now. They support her wholeheartedly. They love listening to her, so there you go. None of them are here. Just me. So, obviously, we're fast forwarding a bit here, but fast forward to her own anniversary in December. The beginning of December. In late November, she announced she was having an anniversary stream, and that she would be, obviously, all of us, her viewers, decided to surprise her with the usual do-si-do. Gifts, fan art, a kudo board, and in my case, a song. Which I really didn't have to do, because at this point, I was taking music commissions already. I was already making money making music, so I didn't really need the extra exposure. I didn't need to work for exposure at this point. My work spoke for itself. But Neko was and still is my Oshi, so of course I had to do something special for her for the anniversary. So, if you'll allow me to switch screens again, allow me to present to you Zap, 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 her anniversary song, which I titled Core Values, because I couldn't come up with anything else. Had to be core. Had to name it core. And I basically made that the theme of the song. So, again, I present to you Core Values. And once again, that's the end of that. Yeah, that's sort of the theme of these songs. They are on the short side. Short and sweet. Brevity is the soul of wit, and all that sort of jazz. So, I will absolutely never forget her reaction to hearing that song for the first time. Like, she cried a lot during that anniversary stream, but hearing her reaction to that, her reaction to my song, that was probably the loudest and longest she cried that entire stream. She talked about how much she absolutely loved it. Talked about how powerful it was. Talked about how much she vibed to it. Just really giving me really making me glad that I went out of my way to give that to her. Sure, money's a nice reward, but hearing somebody just absolutely lose it over your song, that is a nice reward in and of itself sometimes. Just a very wonderful feeling. One that makes everything worth it in the end, even if you're doing it for free. So yeah, she was so impressed with that for a brief period after I showed her that song, she actually made it her stream intro, along with her new animated opening screen. Although at one point she actually tried to edit it to make it sound more, to make it more chorus. She actually photoshopped her eyes red, but unfortunately she couldn't do that to the entire video file, so she ended up having to settle for a still for a couple of weeks while she used my song. Which is flattering in its own way, just the fact that she was willing to go out of her way like that, just to use my song, despite the fact that she didn't even really have to do that. It was stunning in a lot of ways, just the fact that she was willing to do that, it was amazing. It made me real proud of my work. It just made me so happy. So, I did mean every word of that, but gotta be level with you guys, I'm actually still on for time a bit, because I'm trying to load up the original project of her song. But it's taking a moment, because for reasons that I'll discuss once we actually get into the DOM, I think we're almost ready. But yeah, bottom line, she loves the song, I'm still proud of it. I still think I did a good job there. And a lot of people who listen to the song seem to think so, so clearly I did something right there. Come on, come on. This is a pretty intense project. It has a lot of plugins on it, obviously. Yeah, okay, there we go. Finally loaded. So, before I actually properly show the song, let's switch over to the DAW screen. And again, chat's gonna disappear for a second, and I'm sorry, but shit happens. Anyways, this is the big project. Again, a lot of projects. Most of it having to do with that synth breakdown in the first verse. Pretty intensive project. But there's a reason for that. A lot of the reason I was so afraid to actually give her her own song was because, in my head, she required soft electronic music. Soft I can do, electronic not so much. I have no idea what I'm doing with synths, even to this day, to be blunt. So, there we go. I brought chat back. At any rate, so yeah, that's a lot of the reason I was so afraid to do a song for her, because pretty much everybody asked, why haven't you done a song for Neko, fan song for Neko? Like, she's your Oshi, you should be totally inspired. And the problem was, again, I didn't think I could do her justice. And in a lot of ways, I still didn't. She's not really known for being crazy metalhead, but this was just what had to be done. It was, this was her song, and I stuck with it. But again, that's where I sort of got my inspiration. Core. Core was my main inspiration for the song. So I thought, maybe I should write a song for Core Possessed Neko instead. Maybe that'll make things easier on me stylistically. And so it did. So, yeah. Drop A Gent. That was the real theme of the song. Just Gent song and drop A. Fuck it, we'll do it that way. And mercifully, it ended up working. Again, she loved it, everybody loved it, and there it goes. So, again, I'm never going to do a mix breakdown or any of that, which really means I've really wasted my time opening this project in the first place, but I might as well talk about the melody again. Once the stream picks back up again. You know, I'm going to close the project. I don't think I need to have that open. Gotta wait for the stream to stop going apeshit. Free up the resources. Let me know when the stream stops being crusty. In the meantime, welcome to the stream, Jack. Pleasure to see you. Damn, that's a lot of drop frames. Stream might be hiccuping a bit. Please bear with it for a moment while it sorts itself out. This is rather awkward. Okay, it says it's back in the green. Praying that's the case. Okay, now it says it's perfectly fine again. Perfect. So, okay, for those of you who missed it, it was, yeah, fuck the opening the projects thing. That's not gonna work. Too resource intensive.